In the cold silence of space, there was a lonely place called Station Orphan 9. It floated above a dead planet, forgotten by most of the galaxy. This station was not a home. It was a last stop, a place for broken things, for lost alien children, for the ones no one wanted. In room 17B, a small alien girl sat alone. Her name was Tally. She had soft blue skin, big glowing eyes, and 2 short antennae on her head. Her body was thin. Her arms were too long. She looked strange to most species. Even other aliens stayed away from her. Tally did not cry anymore. She had already cried all her tears long ago. A worn-out plush toy sat beside her. Its name was Squib. It was missing one eye and had a ripped arm, but it was the only thing Tally still cared about. Tally had been moved around many times. 12 times to be exact. Every family, every caretaker had returned her. She doesn't eat normal food. She stares too much. She doesn't speak often. She makes the other kids uncomfortable. Each time she was sent back, it hurt a little more. Now the workers at the station didn't try anymore. They had put a note in her file. Unbondable. Do not place again. Tally didn't care about the file. She just wanted to stop feeling so empty. One day, the station got a visitor. A big beat-up cargo ship docked outside. Its name was Rust Bucket, 7th, and it looked as tired as the man who stepped out of it. His name was Jacob Wren. He was human, a retired starship engineer. He had a metal arm, gray beard, and a toolbox that rattled with every step. He didn't smile much. He didn't talk much either. He came to deliver old ship parts, nothing more, just dropping off this junk. Sign the manifest, he told the front desk worker. But as he waited for his clearance, he noticed something. In the corner of the lobby, sitting alone, was a small girl with blue skin and glowing eyes. She was holding a broken toy and staring at a vent. She didn't speak. She didn't move. Jacob raised an eyebrow. Who's the kid? The front desk worker didn't even look up. Valari biochild? Lab grown for diplomacy? Project failed? Her creators are dead? She's been returned too many times? Jacob frowned. How many? 9 official placements. Maybe more off the record. Doesn't matter. She's labeled unbondable. After this quarter ends, she'll be sent to a quiet colony. A what? A place for the unplaceable. No families, no contact. Just a quiet place until they grow up. Or not. Jacob didn't say anything. He looked back at the girl. Her antennae twitched slightly as if she could feel his gaze. Then something strange happened. Tally looked up and stared at his tool belt, not his face. Not his arm. Not his eyes. She looked at the wrench hanging by his hip. When Jacob went back to his ship, he found himself thinking about her. He wasn't a soft man. He'd seen war, lost friends, lost family. He didn't do well with people. Kids were loud, messy, and full of questions. But something about that little girl made him pause. Later that day, he walked back to room 17B. Tally was there, sitting the same way as before. He crouched down beside her. "This is a wrench," he said, pointing to the tool she'd stared at. Tally blinked. "It tightens things, like pipes and bolts." She didn't answer. Jacob set the wrench on the floor in front of her, then he stood up and walked away. The next day, he came again. This time, Tally was holding the wrench. She hadn't broken it. She hadn't thrown it. She had cleaned it with a cloth and polished it until it shined. Jacob smiled a little. "Know what that is?" he asked. Tally spoke for the first time. Her voice was soft and dry. "It's a tool for fixing things." He nodded. "That's right." Then he pulled out a broken comms chip from his bag. "Want to learn how to fix this?" She hesitated. Then she nodded. And so, sitting on the cold floor of the orphan station, Jacob taught her how to hold the chip, how to read the wires, how to use the wrench, not just for tightening bolts, but for opening stuck panels too. For the first time in many months, Tally smiled. Over the next few days, Jacob kept coming back, not for the station work, but for her. He brought her wires, tools, spare parts. Tally learned fast, very fast. She built a little light from scrap. She repaired a broken drone. She made a music box that played a slow humming tune. She didn't talk much, but she listened. And she watched. Jacob started bringing her snacks too. Human snacks. She didn't like most of them, but she loved peanut butter. One afternoon, as he packed his bag to leave, Jacob asked the question no one else had ever asked her. "Do you want to come with me?" Tally froze. Her antennae curled tightly. She looked at him, not with fear but with disbelief. "No one ever said that before," she whispered. "I'm saying it now." "You're not scared of me?" Jacob chuckled. "Kid, I've flown through asteroid storms, dodged space pirates, and welded engines in zero gravity. I've seen worse than a smart kid with blue skin." Tally looked down. "Are you sure?" Jacob kneeled in front of her. "I don't know what I'm doing," he said honestly. "I've never raised a kid. I don't know if I'll be any good at it. But I got a ship. I got tools. I got peanut butter. And I think maybe we could fix each other." Tally blinked. Then, slowly, she reached out her hand, and Jacob took it. The old ship, Rust Bucket 7th, shook slightly as it lifted off from Station Orphan 9. Its engines groaned, vents rattled, and lights flickered like an old man waking up from a long nap. Inside the ship, Tally sat on a padded crate, holding her plush toy Squib tightly. Her big glowing eyes stared at everything, panels, wires, bolts, screens. Everything on the ship was strange, but not scary. It was messy, it was noisy, but it felt alive. Jacob sat in the pilot's seat, one hand on the control stick, the other resting on his metal arm. He glanced back at her. "Still with me, kid?" Tally gave a small nod. Her antennae twitched in a slow, relaxed pattern. Jacob smirked. "Good. Rust Bucket's a bit of a junkyard queen, but she'll fly." The ship entered the warp lane, and the stars stretched into bright blue lines. For the first time, Tally was off the station and not headed to another cold foster home. She was flying toward something else, something unknown. She whispered softly, "Thank you." Jacob pretended he didn't hear, but he smiled anyway. The living quarters on the ship were small, just one shared bunk room, a tiny kitchen, and a work bay full of tools and parts. Jacob pointed to the lower bunk. "That's yours." "You want privacy? I'll rig up a curtain." Tally sat on the bed. The mattress made a soft puffing sound. She looked around. "Where's the sleep hum?" "The what?" "Sleep hum. The sound. It was always in my room on the station. A low sound. Like, Jacob rubbed his beard. "White noise machine?" She tilted her head. He sighed and walked over to an old audio panel. He adjusted a few settings and added a soft, low hum to the room. It wasn't perfect, but it made Tally's antennae relax. "Better?" "Yes." Jacob turned to leave. "Cap'n," Tally said suddenly. He looked back. "That's what I'll call you. Cap'n?" Jacob raised an eyebrow. "Not Dad? Or Jacob?" "You're not ready for those," she said quietly. "But you're still mine." He didn't answer, but the next day he fixed the nameplate on her bunk. It now read, Tally, crew, engineer's apprentice. Tally learned fast. In the work bay, she picked up tools, studied cables, and helped Jacob sort through spare parts. She could look at a broken circuit board and understand what it was supposed to do, even if it was made by a species she'd never seen before. Jacob started calling her his little miracle. She never said much, but when she smiled, it made the whole ship feel warmer. Still, not everything was easy. One morning, Tally tried to cook breakfast using a plasma torch. She burned the table. Jacob shouted without thinking, What in the void are you doing? Tally dropped the torch and backed. Away, eyes wide, antennae curling tightly. She crouched in a corner, holding Squib, shaking. Jacob realized his mistake at once. He sat on the floor far from her and spoke softly. I didn't mean to scare you. I was just surprised. That was dangerous, kid. Tally didn't answer. I'm not sending you away, he said. Not for a burned table. Not for anything. After a long silence, she whispered, Sorry, I just wanted to make pancakes. Jacob laughed softly. All right. We'll learn together. No torches next time. From that day on, they cooked together. The pancakes were always lumpy, but Tally liked them, especially with peanut butter. One evening, as they floated in quiet space, Tally sat on the floor with tools spread around her. She was building something, a small floating orb with blinking lights. Jacob leaned against the wall watching her work. What is it? A drone, she replied. It'll follow me and make cat sounds. Cat sounds. I read about cats in the ship library. Humans like cats. They are soft, mean, and funny. Jacob chuckled. That's one way to describe them. Tally looked up. Have you ever had a family? He went quiet. Once, he said. A long time ago. I had a sister. She died in the Rim Wars. I'm sorry. He nodded. Me too. Then he asked her a question. Why do you think no one kept you? Tally didn't answer for a long time. Then she said, Because I don't fit. I was made for a peace mission. I was supposed to speak 12 languages and bow correctly and eat nothing but synth food. But the mission failed. My creators died. The other species, they saw me as a mistake. Jacob shook his head. You're not a mistake. You're a survivor. Then, why did they all send me back? Jacob looked her in the eyes. Because they were fools. One day, Rust Bucket 7 stopped at a small cargo station in the outer belt. Jacob needed fuel and a few power cores. Tally stayed on the ship, helping the AI sort supplies. As Jacob walked into the docking bay office, the station commander, a big, lizard-skinned alien, looked at his manifest. You came from Orphan 9. Picked up a girl there, didn't you? Jacob's eyes narrowed. So? You know what she is, right? Valari biochild. They say she's not right in the head. Not made to survive outside a lab. She's more right than anyone I've met. The alien snorted. Be careful. You get too close, and they might come looking for her. Who? Valari diplomats. They still claim she's a national prototype. Property, not person. Jacob clenched his jaw. She's not property. She's my crew. Back on the ship, Tally asked him why he looked angry. He told her the truth. There are people who might try to take you away. Tally looked down. I'll hide, she said. Jacob shook his head. No, you won't have to. You're not going anywhere. She stood up and walked over to him. I fixed the coolant system, she said. I also rerouted power to the shield. Emitters. He raised an eyebrow. You did? Yes. And I wrote a small virus. It plays cat sounds on enemy ships if they try to scan us. Jacob laughed out loud. You're one strange little genius. Tally smiled. I learned from the best, Captain. That night, as they sat near the ship's viewport, watching the stars drift by, Tally leaned against Jacob's side. He didn't push her away. Instead, he wrapped his arm around her, gently. You're not going back, he said. Not ever. Tally nodded. She looked up at the stars and whispered, This is what a home feels like. Jacob didn't say anything, but in that moment, Rust Bucket 7 didn't feel like an old, broken ship. It felt like something whole. The ship Rust Bucket 7 drifted slowly through the quiet black of deep space. Its hull was dented, its lights flickered, and one of its engines made a soft clicking sound when it turned left. But inside, something new was growing. Tally, the Small alien girl with glowing eyes and twitching antennae now had her own tools, her own bunk, and a new life. She was still quiet, still careful, but now she smiled more, she spoke more, and most importantly, she laughed. Her laugh was soft, almost like a hum, but it made the old ship feel younger. Every morning started the same. Jacob would call from the engine room, "Tally, bring me the flux coil," and without a word she'd hand it over, already knowing what he needed before he finished asking. She had a mind built for machines. She saw the way energy moved through wires, the way parts talked to each other. One day, she fixed the ship's backup generator before Jacob even knew it was broken. "You're gonna put me out of a job," he joked. Tally smiled and replied, "I'll let you cook instead." Jacob made a face. "Deal, as long as you don't. Make me eat those green cube things again." "They have vitamins," she said seriously. "They taste like sadness." Tally's sleeping pod was now filled with soft lights, small gadgets, and tiny moving toys she built from scrap. One of her favorites was a tiny drone that followed her and purred like a cat. It was made from an old food tray, a speaker, and parts from a broken cleaning bot. She called it Mimi. Mimi followed her everywhere, even into air vents when she went exploring. Jacob warned her, "One day you're going to get stuck in there." "I have a map," she said, tapping her forehead. "I don't even know how to argue with that, but life on the ship wasn't always peaceful." One night, the power flickered. The lights dimmed. The alarm lights blinked red. Jacob rushed to the control room. "Pirates," he said calmly. "Just our luck." Tally ran in behind him. "How many ships?" "Two small ones. Light weapons. They think we're an easy target." He pushed buttons on the console. The ship shook slightly. "Can we fight?" she asked. "Nope." "Rust bucket." "Ain't built for war. We'll have to run." Tally's fingers danced over the side panel. "I can jam their sensors." Jacob blinked. "You can what?" "I installed a pulse device 2 days ago, just in case." He stared at her. "Remind me to let you upgrade my brain next." She pressed the button. The ship gave off a low hum, and nearby pirate ships suddenly blinked off radar. "They've lost us," she said. Jacob let out a breath. "You saved our hides." Tally looked up at him. "You saved mine first." Later, as they sat in the galley eating warm food cubes and peanut butter crackers, Jacob watched her. She was happier now, but he could still see the shadows in her eyes, the quiet fear that maybe one day this life would vanish too. He decided something then, something big. 2 weeks later, they reached a trade station in the Gratz Belt, a peaceful zone with good food, working showers, and rare ship parts. Jacob bought fuel, engine seals, and a bag full of spicy snacks. Tally explored the marketplace, amazed by the strange smells, blinking lights, and chattering alien voices. She stopped at a booth selling old tech. Her eyes widened when she saw a Valari memory crystal, something from her home world. The shopkeeper noticed her antennae. "Valari. Child, huh? Haven't seen one in years," he said. "You lost, kid?" Tally stepped back. Jacob walked over quickly and stood beside her. "She's not lost. She's with me." The shopkeeper raised an eyebrow. "You her guardian?" Jacob didn't answer, at first. Then he said firmly, "I'm her father." The word felt strange in his mouth, but it felt right. Tally looked up at him. Her antennae curled softly. She didn't say anything, but her eyes shimmered. Back on the ship, Jacob filled out the digital adoption request. He'd avoided it for weeks, unsure if he could handle it, unsure if she even wanted it. He showed her the screen. "It's your choice, Tally. This makes it official, means no one can take you away, but only if you want it." She stared at the screen for a long time. Then, slowly, she reached out and placed her hand on the scanner. "I want to stay," she whispered. "Forever." Jacob hit submit. The system beeped. Application sent. Pending approval. Tally looked up at him. Do I call you Dad now? Jacob smiled. You can call me whatever you want. She thought for a moment. Then she said, Captain. Dad. Jacob laughed. I'll take it. But peace never lasted long. 3 days later, while traveling near the Orion Drift, the ship's sensors picked up a small vessel tailing them. At first, Jacob thought it was just another trader, but the ship kept its distance, matching speed. Tally ran a scan. It's Valari, she said, voice tight. Jacob's face darkened. They found us. The ship sent a signal. Surrender the Valari prototype child. She is property of the Valari, Ministry of Culture. Jacob responded with one word. No, the Valari ship fired a warning shot. Jacob turned to Tally. Get to the engine room. Prepare the jump core. Tally didn't move. They'll take me, she said. They'll say I don't belong. Jacob knelt beside her. You belong with me, but I'm not. He held up his metal arm. I'm not complete either. Doesn't matter. What matters is that we stay together. Tally nodded. They got to work. Tally rerouted power to the warp drive. She overloaded the cooling systems on purpose, causing a fake failure. The Valari ship closed in, thinking Rust Bucket was broken. Then Tally hit the button. The ship released a loud, echoing pulse. Across space, blinding scanners and faking multiple targets. The Valari fired at shadows. Jacob shouted, Now! The ship jumped. In a flash of light, they were gone. Hours later, in quiet space once again, the ship drifted peacefully. Tally sat beside Jacob in the cockpit. You're not sending me back? He looked at her. Never. She leaned against him and closed her eyes. And for the first time, she didn't dream about being sent away. She dreamed of flying, building, laughing. She dreamed of home. The stars were calm again. The ship Rust Bucket 7 floated far from any trade lane, hiding among cold asteroid fields. After escaping the Valari pursuers, Jacob and Tally took no chances. They shut off all beacons. They moved quietly. They stayed in the dark. Tally didn't mind the darkness. She liked the stars. She liked sitting near the viewing window, working on her gadgets with Mimi, her cat noise drone, floating nearby. Jacob, however, was restless. He checked the scanner every hour. He cleaned his tools twice a day, which was unusual. He had a feeling they would come again. But for now, they waited. One morning, while checking the ship's long-range scanner, Jacob noticed something strange. Message from the Central Registry, he muttered. Your adoption application. It's been flagged. Tally stopped what she was doing. Flagged? Why? Someone's contesting it. Probably the Valari. She stood up slowly. They want to take me back again. Jacob rubbed his face. They're claiming your property. A living diplomatic prototype, not a person. Tally stayed quiet. Then she whispered, Will they win? Jacob looked her in the eyes. Not if I'm breathing. They docked at Station Oralis Prime, a neutral law station known for fair hearings. It was dangerous to appear in public, but Jacob had no choice. If they didn't fight now, the Valari would chase them forever. Jacob registered the case. Tally was given temporary protection under human custody. The hearing was scheduled for the next day. Tally walked beside Jacob through the large halls of the station. Lights blinked overhead. Aliens of many species stared at her, some with curiosity, some with judgment. She kept her eyes down. Jacob put a hand on her shoulder. They can stare all they want. You belong with me. Tally nodded, but she was scared. She remembered the last time she stood in front of a group of adults, the last time they decided where she belonged, and she remembered the word they used, unbondable. The courtroom was cold and clean. A tall alien woman in white robes stood as the lead judge. Her skin was clear and glassy like crystal. Her voice was smooth. We will now hear the matter of child identity and custody, presenting parties, Jacob Wren of Earth, and Valari Agent Solkar. A sharp-looking Valari man stepped forward. His silver robe shimmered. He looked at Tali like she was a tool, not a child. She was created in our labs, he said. Her DNA is Valari design. She was engineered for diplomacy. She carries our nation's colors and genes. She is not a normal child. She is a national property. Jacob stepped forward. She's not a property. She's a person. The judge looked down. Mr. Wren, please explain your connection to the child. Jacob took a breath. She was rejected. Again and again. Different homes, different species. Nobody gave her a chance. Nobody saw her for what she is, a kid trying to belong. He looked at Tali, then back at the judge. I didn't plan to adopt anyone. I'm a mechanic, not a hero. But she saw beauty in broken things, even in me. And now she's part of my crew. She's my daughter. Agent Solkar scoffed. She is dangerous. Her antennae pick up signals. She learns too fast. She is unstable. Jacob clenched his fists. She's brilliant. She saved our lives. And maybe if she learns fast, it's because the galaxy forced her to. Tali stood quietly. Her hands gripped her plush toy squib. She was shaking, but she didn't cry. The judge leaned forward. Child, step forward. Tali slowly walked. Up. Her eyes glowed under the room's light. Do you wish to stay with Mr. Wren? The judge asked. Yes. Why? Tali looked at her. Her voice was small but clear. He didn't return me. Silence filled the room. Tali's hands trembled as she continued. Everyone else did. They said I was wrong, too quiet, too strange. But Jacob let me be me. He fixed my sleep room. He eats the weird food I like. He taught me to fix things. He says I'm not broken. She looked at Jacob. He calls me Miracle. The judge was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, We will return shortly with a verdict. As they waited outside the courtroom, Tali sat on the bench, staring at her toy. Jacob sat beside her. I'm sorry you had to do that, he said. I was scared. Me too. They sat quietly. Then she asked, What if they say no? Jacob looked at her. Then we run, again and again, until they get tired. I'm not giving up on you. Tali leaned against his side. I believe you. After an hour, the doors opened. The judge stood again. We have reviewed the case. Based on the child's words, the guardian's actions, and the psychological records provided from Station Orphan 9, she paused. We declare the child legally autonomous. She is not property. She has chosen her guardian. We approve the adoption. Tali blinked. Jacob blinked. The judge smiled slightly. You may now sign the final document. Jacob stepped forward. He signed. Tali stepped forward. She placed her hand on the scanner. Legal guardian, Jacob Wren. Registered name, Tali Wren. Status, adopted. Human family custody. Tali looked up. Jacob opened his arms. This time she ran into them. Later that night on the ship they celebrated with space pancakes and glowing juice. Tali made little hats out of foil. Mimi the drone floated around playing cat music. Jacob watched her dance. He couldn't believe this little alien girl, once called unbondable, now had a home. She came to him with a serious face. Captain Dad, she said. Yes, engineer first class? I have an idea. Oh no, it's a good one. That's what you said last time. We had to repaint the ceiling. She smiled. I want to build a new engine, one that hums like my sleep sound, but also has sparkles. Jacob laughed. Let's draw the plans tomorrow. But in a distant star system, a message was sent. From Solkar's ship to the Valari High Council. The child has escaped lawful. Recovery. Human adoption approved. Permission to escalate retrieval requested. No reply came, but the eyes watching the stars were not done yet. The stars above shimmered like frozen sparks. In the silence of space, the old ship Rustbucket 7th hummed gently, floating near the edge of a nebula. The ship was patched, dented, and smelled faintly of burnt wires and peanut butter. But inside, it felt like home. Jacob Wren, once a lonely scavenger, now stood in the engine bay with his adopted daughter, Tally. She was focused on a glowing panel, wires spread out in front of her, small sparks flying. "Be careful with that capacitor," Jacob warned, holding a mug of tea. "Last time we nearly fried the comms system." "I fixed that," Tally replied, eyes still on her work. "I know. I'm still coughing up static." Tally smiled without looking. "You're just old." Jacob laughed. "You sound like a real teenager already." They were quiet for a while, the engine's soft hum in the background. Tally looked up and asked, "Are we safe now?" Jacob nodded. "Safer than before. You're legally mine. No more agents or hearings." "But what? If they still come?" Jacob set his mug down and looked her in the eyes. "Then we face them together, like always." Tally smiled and went back to work. But far away, in the cold space near the Valari core world, someone else was preparing. In a dark meeting room, the Valari High Council gathered. Agent Solkar stood before them. His face was tight, his voice steady. "The human court ruled against us. The child now belongs to the human engineer." Jacob Wren, one of the council elders, an ancient Valari with golden eyes, asked, "Can she still be retrieved?" Solkar nodded. "If we declare her a security threat, we can send retrieval squads, quiet ones." "Do it," the elder said coldly. "She is ours, a product of our creation. We cannot allow her mind to grow uncontrolled. If she bonds too deeply with the human, she may turn against us completely." Solkar bowed. "Understood." The mission was clear. Bring the child back, or destroy her. 3 days later, Rustbucket 7 docked at a peaceful human colony called New Amber. It was a small planet full of green fields, soft skies, and kind people. Jacob had friends here, mechanics, farmers, old engineers. They were welcomed, with warm food, real beds, and smiling faces. Tally had never seen grass before. She bent down and touched it gently. "It's soft," she whispered. A human boy ran past, holding a kite. He stopped and looked at her antennae. "Are you a robot?" Tally blinked. "Are you a potato?" The boy stared. Then he laughed. "You're weird." "You too." And just like that, she made her first friend. Days passed peacefully. Jacob fixed farming machines and taught local kids how to repair water pumps. Tally helped design a small drone farm system using scrap parts. She built a floating pet robot for her new friend, the potato boy, who now called himself Captain Toast. At night, they returned to the ship, their true home, parked near a quiet hill. Jacob cooked simple meals. Tally added spice cubes when he wasn't looking. They played music. They fixed broken gadgets. They laughed. It was perfect. Too perfect. One night, the ship's alert system beeped. Tally sat up in her bunk. "Intrusion detected." Jacob jumped out of bed and ran to the cockpit. 3 ships, no identification, silent engines. "They're not here for tea," Jacob said. Tally checked the scanners. "Valari design. Stealth models." Jacob clenched his jaw. "They're here for you." Tally's voice shook. "They'll take me." "No," Jacob said. "We're not running. Not this time." They powered up the ship. The shields were weak, the weapons were old, but the heart of Rustbucket was strong, and it had 2 brilliant minds inside it. Tally took the pilot's seat. Jacob handled the shield controls. As the Valari ships closed in, Jacob opened the comms. "This is Captain Jacob Wren of Rustbucket the 7th. This ship is under protection of the Human Adoption Charter. Back off. No reply. Tally whispered, "They're locking weapons." Jacob looked at her. "You ready?" She nodded. "Let's give them a lesson." The battle began. Valari ships moved fast. Their lasers hit Rust Bucket's shields. Sparks flew. Lights flickered. But Tally was faster. She flew like a shadow using asteroid cover, turning suddenly, using gravity pockets the Valari didn't see. She activated her echo drone system, a trick she built weeks ago. Dozens of fake signals filled the space, making it look like 20 Rust Buckets were flying in every direction. The Valari ships fired wildly, missing the real one. Jacob targeted the weak points, firing EMP blasts that shut down one enemy ship. Completely. 2 remained. Tally activated Mimi the drone. Mimi flew out of the ship, making loud cat noises and broadcasting an old Earth signal, the sound of a vacuum cleaner and a baby crying. Confused by the noise, one Valari pilot panicked and flew into an asteroid. Only one ship left. Jacob turned to Tally. "One more." Tally looked calm. "I have a surprise." She opened a secret panel and pushed a button she had built in silence weeks ago. The engine bay released a wave of light and sound, a special sonic pulse that she had designed just for the Valari frequency. The enemy ship froze mid-air. Systems fried. Lights blinked out, silent, defeated. Jacob and Tally sat back, breathing hard. Rust Bucket was bruised. Panels hung loose. Smoke curled from the floor. But they were alive. Tally looked at him. "We did it." Jacob grinned. "You did it. I just pushed buttons." She smiled. "I learned from the best." Later that night, they sat outside the ship, looking at the stars. Jacob held a mug of tea. Tally sat beside him, holding Squib, her plush toy. "What if they send more?" she asked. Jacob shrugged. "Let them. We'll fix the ship, make it stronger." "And if I grow older? If I change?" Jacob looked at her seriously. "Listen, Tally, you don't have to stay the same to be loved. You don't have to earn a home by being useful. You're mine, no matter what." She leaned her head against his arm. "You're not bad at being a dad," she said. He smiled. "And you're not bad at being a daughter." They sat quietly for a while. Then Tally whispered, "This is home." Jacob nodded. "Yes. And I'm not sending you back. Not today, not ever." Above them, the stars watched. And somewhere across the galaxy, others began to notice. They saw a human who stood up for the unwanted, and a strange alien girl who turned, a junk ship, into a legend. Together, they weren't just a family. They were proof that home is not where you're made. Home is where someone stays.